Good morning, everyone. Educators and students, welcome. We're excited to have you here today. My name is Austin Dickman, and I'm the volunteer coordinator with junior team of Sacramento. And our mission is to empower youth to own their economic futures. And so with the continuation of distance learning, we're resuming our JA Career Speaker Series virtual. So every Friday throughout May, we're going to be hosting our Future Fridays, is what we're calling them. And this is in partnership with Kidder Matthews. And so this program is open to all students throughout the Sacramento area. And it will be highlighting business professionals, entrepreneurs, and innovative thinkers from a variety of industries. And each speaker during their presentation will share a little bit about their current role and their educational journey and background and kind of what led them up to their current job. So today I have the pleasure of welcoming Carlos Flores. He's the Director of Academic Affairs at the University of Phoenix, Sacramento Valley campus. And a couple of quick notes before Carlos starts his presentation. So today during the presentation, all lines will be muted, but if during Carlos's presentation, you think of a question to ask him, feel free to just type it into the chat. And then at the end of the session, at the end of his presentation, once he's finished, we'll actually do a Q&A and he'll answer everything that you guys ask. Yeah, and I think that'll be it. So Carlos, you can go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Austin.
No
Good
problem.
morning, everyone. I hope everybody's well. I know everybody's just like me. I know I have a background in the back of the Sacramento bridge, but you know, I'm at home. I'm actually out in a shed that is my stay home office. So if I take off I'm going to take off my background in a little bit to switch to another one. So you'll see my shed right behind me. It's perfect because I have privacy and at the same time, you know, I can get a lot of work done. I work for University of Phoenix. I'm their Director of Academic Affairs. So essentially I'm their Chief Academic Officer. So what I do is I coordinate classes. I look at students, any issues. I sign letters of honor roll and dean's lists. I do everything that a provost does, but in Sacramento. So we have about 350 students at University of Phoenix in Sacramento. And what we do is we offer anything from business. We offer counseling like marriage family therapy. We offer classes like biology, like math. We do everything, right? And so we're kind of geared towards mainly most of our population is adult learners. So it means that, you know, they've had a job or they've had a little bit of experience and now they want to move up in their organization. And so they come back to us, and then our classes are usually in the evenings, once a week for 5 weeks. So we're very fast-paced environment. So, I mean, you're getting a little bit of a taste what our students are getting right now because, you know, our campus is closed, right, in Sacramento because of COVID. And so what we're doing is we're actually doing live feeds. So what I'm doing with you all right now, our faculty would do with their students for 4 hours once a week. So we're trying to make it as easy for them as possible. So that way they can get the education and they can get the everything that they need. So that way they can move up the ladder. So that way they can go into another career or just because they want to get an education. So just a little bit about myself. I'm 45 years old. I'm from El Salvador. I actually wasn't born here. I came here when I was 9. I lived in El Salvador for about 8.5 years. But because of the war that was going on at that time, my parents said, you know, you're coming with us to the United States. So that way, 1, you can get away from the army. 2, you can have more opportunities in education. And 3, so that way your little brother, who's 9 years younger than I am, can also have the same opportunities. So one of the things that I know that I like to talk about is the fact that when I went to elementary school in Daly City, which is by San Francisco, I actually repeated the 5th grade. and the reason why I repeated the 5th grade was because my teachers wanted me to learn the language proficiently. So what I did is I went to a class called the shelter class that time. They don't do that anymore. They think that that's too much for students nowadays. Now you have bilingual classes. In the shelter class, what I did is I spent all day, 5 days a week, from 8 in the morning until 3 o'clock, and I would learn English with 6 other students and the teacher. But then at the same time, I had to do all of my regular assignments for my regular class. And so I would turn in assignments. A kid, because I have 2 kids. I have a daughter who's 18, who's attending right now online UC Santa Cruz. And I also have a son who is he's a junior at Davis High School, because I live in Davis. And so, and actually quite interesting, because we were talking about this yesterday, because he's getting ready to take his SATs tomorrow. So, but anyways, so I went through the shelter class, and to give you an example, right, here I am, 9.5 years old, going through those classes. I have to do my vocabulary, my math, and everything in my school. And so what I told my kids is that at that point, I didn't know how to speak English. So what I did was I went through the dictionary, and when I had vocabulary work, I actually went to the sentences of each of the words, and I actually taught myself what it meant, or thought that I was teaching myself what it meant. So that way I can do my vocabulary test every week. And so, struggles happen, but thank goodness that there were teachers along the way that have helped me. And that's one of the things that I wanted to emphasize, is that your teachers are the ones that are going to help you get to where you want to get to. I still remember my teacher, my 5th grade teacher, Ms. Katubik, helped me out a lot. In middle school, I had Ms. Chestnut, who helped me out throughout to get me acclimated to the school. In high school, I had Mr. Franco, who was also my football coach, but at the same time, he helped me with many different things. And so, when I graduated from high school, well, which, let me back up a little bit, which was in Richmond. So I went to Richmond High. I graduated valedictorian from Richmond High in 1993. And the interesting story that people don't know is that in 1992, Richmond High was so poor that we were going bankrupt. And so 2 weeks before the year ended, we actually turned in our books, because we thought we weren't going to have school for the rest of the year, because we ran out of money, right? And so, but the governor signed a bill, and 2 days later we got our books back and we finished the year. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I needed to finish the year, so that way I would be able to get myself ready for the university. So I went to UC Davis for my bachelor's. I earned a bachelor's in psychology, and I also earned a bachelor's in English. Then I went to Sacramento State, and I earned my master's in marriage family therapy. And currently, I'm actually one dissertation away from earning my doctorate in organizational management. So my philosophy is always be a lifelong learner. Keep on learning. No matter what, it's going to help you, and no matter what you do, right? And so one of the things that I learned, and I'm going to pass on to you, is that, and you can write this down or remember it. You can actually Google it. It's called, I don't know if you've used it, but it's called ONET Online. So ONET Online. So if you Google it, it'll come up. It's actually a website that can help you look at careers. It tells you what they do, salaries that they make, what things that you have to do to prepare, what education you need, what kind of trainings you need, and what kind of job opportunities that you have, right, to do that. The thing that I also wanted to make sure that you understood is that at the same time as you're getting and you're earning your education, because to me, you earn your education, you don't get it. You have to earn it, right? And that's one of the things. And you heard me when I said I earned my earning my doctorate, earning my master's, earning my bachelor's. You earn your education. So be proactive. Make sure that you're always learning something, right? Make sure that you're always listening to your teachers. They'll give you the foundation so that way you can figure out where you want to go. I speak Spanish fluently. I love the fact that I'm able to switch from Spanish to English, right? So I can go from I can speak to a parent if I have to, or a child that doesn't know how to speak English. But at the same time, I can speak to, like, for example, a couple of months ago, because I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. A couple of months ago, we had an event and we did it at Golden One Arena, and so it was great knowing that I can switch back and forth, because we had members of the Chamber of Commerce that only spoke English and some only spoke Spanish. And so I was able to go back and forth. I was one of the few ones that was able to go back and forth and talk to them and say, hey, this is what the Chamber of Commerce has to offer. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to switch my screen, my virtual background, so that way you can see. So in the back of me, that's Golden One. And if I move to the side, you can see that is what we use, so that way we can run the event virtually. So Golden One was gracious enough to give us the entire arena, so that way we can run a program called the State of Hispanics. So that way we can talk about what's going on in our community, what's going on in the Latinx community. So, but anyways, that's another aspect. And quickly, I can see the Chamber of Commerce it's kind of like an organization that helps small businesses get to where they want to be. It's kind of like the school of small businesses. So what we do at the Chamber of Commerce is that we meet with Hispanic, not only Hispanic, right, but we focus on Hispanic-owned businesses, and we help them out through grants, scholarships. We help them with trainings. I've actually done trainings with the community on active shooter awareness. I've done trainings on mental health, because again, right, my master's is in marriage and family therapy. So, that was one of the things that I did for a little bit. I was a counselor for a while. So there's a lot of different things that the Chamber of Commerce offers. Right now, I know that what we just did is that we offered some of the businesses that couldn't open because, like, for example, there was a salon on Northgate in Sacramento. They couldn't open because the lady couldn't stop, take off her gloves, right, sanitize herself, get a thermometer and take the temperature of the person that's coming in. So what we did is through a grant through the city, we offer her a thermometer that is kind of a facial thermometer that you would look at. So you would look at it and it would read your temperature. So that way she can still cut hair, have the person sit down, but she'll know whether that person has a normal temperature, high temperature, or low temperature. So again, those are the things that we do at the Chamber of Commerce. So another aspect that I wanted to talk to you about is, do what you love and love what you do, right? I always do. I always try everything. And I know that a lot of the times I've had to sacrifice early in my middle school and high school. I have a younger brother, he's 9 years old. And so I took care of him from 5th grade all the way to 12th grade. He was, I'm kind of like his father figure now, but I used to do that because I wanted to make sure that he grew up. My parents worked 10, 12 hours a day. So they came home tired. I don't know if anybody can relate to that. I used to eat a lot of microwave stuff until I learned how to cook myself. And then after that, I started cooking for not only for my brother, but I started cooking for my family. So that way they would get something home cooked as they came from work. They busted their butt to get me through. When I went to UC Davis, originally, I actually went as an engineer. Interesting, right? I started as an engineer student, and then I switched to psychology and English, right? Again, things just change the way that you want to, the things that you do. I actually earned a year's worth of scholarships for engineering. And so I went through that. Then I went through pre-med because I wanted to be a doctor. I was part of the pre-med fraternity at UC Davis for a while. And then I said, I want to help people with their mind, because a lot of the times I also was trying to help myself, because in the war in El Salvador, one of the things that I vividly remember, and this is one of the stories that I share with everybody, is that right before my dad came, my dad and my grandpa actually got kidnapped from the soccer field. I was there. My grandpa saw the rebels that were kidnapping everybody, right? And so he looked at me and he said, "Get the hell out of here. Go to your aunt's house who lived across the street." I did. Right before I got to my aunt's house, two ladies put rifles to her stomach and said, "We're taking your child." And so my aunt said, "But you're already taking his grandfather, his father, now you're going to take him. So you're taking 3 generations of our family. How come you're doing that?" So again, right, higher power, whatever you believe in, again, they put their rifles down and said, "If he doesn't get in this house, in your house within 2 minutes, we're taking him with us." So she literally snatched me into the house, right? My grandfather was left in the field because he was older, right? He wasn't going to go to the hills. He wasn't going to be doing that. And then my dad went to the hills, and then he escaped that night, and he came home the next night. And because of the death threats to him and to us, he came first. He worked his butt off, right? And then he brought us in a year later. And so, I mean, it's a story that I can tell you right now, that even to this day, right? And I'm 45 and I was 8.5 back then. I still get goosebumps. If I were to roll up my sleeves, I can tell you that my goosebumps are running. So what I did is I learned about post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's what got me into psychology. And that's how I earned my bachelor's in psychology. And then I said, I want to be able to write well, because I want to be able to present, and I want to be able to do those things so that people that are the same as me, right, are able to understand what post-traumatic stress disorder is, stress, and anything that I can do that. So my bachelor's again was in psychology and English, and then when I went to Sacramento State, my master's was in marriage family therapy, and so I learned a lot of things on how to deal with people. I love reading people. I'm an introvert. If you know what an introvert means, right? I can hide myself in a crowd for hours. I don't have to speak, I don't have to do anything, but because my job right here at University of Phoenix has me going out to network with, the people from Golden One Center, the people from Wells Fargo, the people from Raleigh Fields, right? The FC, Sacramento FC. I mean, I talk to different people, and so I have to be, and I learned to be an extrovert, even though I'm an introvert. Again, I can hide myself in a classroom and not say anything. Nobody will know that I was there, but at the same time, I can be out like I'm doing right now, right? Presenting, and I can be out in a crowd and talk to people about why they need to, why they need to focus on education, why they need to focus on the Latinx community, why they need to focus on everybody that wants to get an education, a higher education. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the things that I've been going through, and I know that I'm looking at my time, and before I know we open it up for questions, I'll tell you again, do what you love, right? So in the time that I've gone through school, and even in between, I have been a a camp counselor. I worked at a child care center. I have worked at a group home for boys. I've actually, when I earned my master's, I actually worked for a year and a half at the Yolo County Juvenile Hall. I was actually doing therapy with the kids in juvenile hall, which I love. I mean, I didn't like the fact that, that they were in there, but I went in there into juvenile hall and I actually had sessions, group sessions and individual sessions with them. So that way I can help them out. I've been interesting, right? I've been a short film producer. I actually owned a film company for a while. We did short films here in Sacramento. I was actually part of a Home Depot commercial, which I wasn't supposed to be part of a Home Depot commercial, but I had an actress that was doing the commercial. Right? Happenstance, right? Take chances. I was there. I was actually eating donuts in the back, but that doesn't matter. So they said, hey, the mail didn't come in. And I said, what was that? The mail as in like the mail? No, he's like, the male actor didn't come in. And so the director just looked at me and said, hey, you're a male. I said, yeah. And so he said, why don't you be part of the commercial? And he's like, you're not going to say anything. All you're going to have to do is you're going to have to nod as you're looking at an iPod. And I said, all right, at an iPad, right? And I said, all right, I'll do it. So I did, right? And I thought I was helping people out. I was helping the actress who I was helping with the acting. And so I went through the commercial. And again, right, I said I'm just hoping. I didn't expect anything while I was eating donuts, but I didn't expect anything. And so about 2 weeks later, I actually got a check for $400 for the commercial. Again, I wasn't expecting anything. I was happy just being part of a commercial, right? Because it took off, I checked off my bucket list on the things that I wanted to do. And so, I mean, I've done that, Ahmed, so that way you can see my entire persona. I like to speak in front of people. I like to share my stories so that way they can understand where I'm coming from and where Latinx students are coming from. At the same time, I'm a big sports fan, soccer, football, mixed martial arts. I like pro wrestling. That's one of the things that I love about Golden One, because I've been there so many times with pro wrestling. I know that some of you are like, what? And it's like, but it's great, right? Because you can pretend to be somebody, right? And kind of like release stress. Some of the things that I do want to make sure that I leave you with, again, and I'm going to repeat them again: do what you love and love what you do. And so far, I've loved everything that I've done. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be there forever, right? And that's one of the things that one of my instructors at Sac State taught me. He said, Carlos, you could be at the best job that you're at, but you're always looking because there may be some opportunities that may be able to help you a little bit more get to where you want to be in your career. And so I love you working for University of Phoenix. I went, I've been to many different places. I've been to Washington, D.C. through the university. I also co-facilitated a men's group, support group for a nonprofit called Kids First in Roseville. I've been doing that for about 5 years. Love it, right? I'm empowering dads that think that they're not up to par of taking care of their kids. And so I tell them my stories. I mean, I'm not a perfect dad, believe me. My kids can tell you I'm not a perfect dad. But my philosophy is I want to make sure that you make the decision based on all the information that it's around you. You can't just do your decisions just based on what's in front of you. You have to look to your left, to your right, behind you, because you have to look at the big picture and see, where do I want to be, right? And don't sell yourself short. How am I supposed to know that I was going to be director of academic affairs, right, at University of Phoenix when I first started and earning my bachelor's at UC Davis? And so one of the things that I wanted to also leave you with is that my goal, right? I have two goals, big goals. One of the goals is to present for an audience of at least 1,000. I've done 300, I've done 500. And I love it because I feed with the crowd and everything. I want to do 1,000 people. I want to be able to talk and tell a story or teach on certain subjects. And my second goal, right? And keep that in mind. My second goal is to actually become either the vice president or president of one of these Sacramento community colleges. So that's, again, at 45, I still have goals, right? I'm setting up and I'm getting myself, because I want to be able to help people at a bigger, in a bigger opportunity. Again, I've been helping more and more people as I go. And that's one of the things that I love doing, helping people. It started out very small with an agency, but now I'm able to help the students and people at the Hispanic Chamber. And then eventually I want to get to that point where, being the president or the vice president at a community college is. And I don't know if that's one of the questions that's one of the questions that are in the chat right now. But right now, my salary, because I do my job as a director of academic affairs, but I also teach. I teach online and face-to-face classes at University of Phoenix. My salary is right around $155,000 a year. So I know that was one of the questions that people may ask. And just to give you kind of like an idea, if I do, or when I do get to like a vice president to a president at the community college, because I've done my research, my salary could go up to $250,000 a year. So again, right, goals, don't sell yourself short, because you have the potential to do it. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you've done, as long as you do the work, right? And you earn your education and you take advantage of other people that are helping you along the way. I mean, it's the best way to do it. So, all right, I'm going to stop now and then we can open it up for questions.
Awesome. That sounds good. Thanks, Carlos. That was very inspiring for sure. All right. So yeah, some of the questions in the chat. I'll start taking a look and reading some. So yeah, Damian asked, what is Chamber of Commerce? And yep, you answered that. I asked one question just to kind of get the ball rolling, but if you could tell students what your favorite thing to do at work is, and then your least favorite thing to do at work.
Yeah. Right. So my favorite thing to do at work is actually, and it's funny, right? Because I'm an introvert, but it's going out and meeting people and trying to help them and connect them to education and connect them to the services of the Hispanic Chamber. And I'm also part of the Metro Chamber, the Metropolitan Chamber as well. I'm actually in the Metropolitan Chamber, I'm the chair of the Ambassador Committee. And in the Hispanic Chamber, I'm actually the co-chair of the foundation. And keep in mind, right, go to our website, because Google Hispanic Chamber, Sacramento Hispanic Chamber, because we do offer scholarships on a yearly basis for people that are going into the university, people that are in first year of community college as well. So keep that in mind, right? I was able to put together my first year, like I said, based on scholarships. So that's my best. I think the least favorite thing for me to do in my position, and I have to do it, right, is unfortunately talking to people and sometimes letting them go. I mean, it's not because I haven't done that because of COVID, but sometimes because they're not meeting the expectations, right, of the university or the job. And it's a difficult decision. It's a difficult conversation that you have. But what I've learned is that if you create this relationship from the beginning, right, then those tough conversations are going to be a little bit easier. They're not going to be fun, but they're going to be a little bit easier. And that's what my coworkers actually joke with me because they say that whenever I did that, right, the few times that I've done that, the people come out smiling and thanking me as they go out. And I mean, and I let them go. And they ask me, why do you do that? Why, how can you do that? They're not yelling at you, but they're smiling and leaving. And I said, well, because I treat people with respect. I treat the way that I want them to treat me. And I build those relationships. So that way, when I have a great conversation, it's great. But when I have a not so great conversation, then it's still not as bad as other times. So.
All right, next question is, what made you decide to major in psychology and how did it lead to your career? I think you touched on this a little, but you can, just give another quick little answer.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, the things that I told you about El Salvador and the Civil War, those are the things that got me into psychology because I wanted to know what human nature was about, right? I wanted to be able to observe somebody and see if they were interested, not interested, if they were doing well, if not. And so, I mean, human behavior is great. And it's very simple, but we make it complicated as human beings. And so I wanted to learn how to do that. And I'm still learning as I go. And then, quite by chance, my daughter, who's at UC Santa Cruz, she's actually majoring in psychology as well. And so I told her, because she wants to get her doctorate in psychology, either clinical psychology or some other in the field of psychology. And I told her that during her second year, I would collaborate with her and we would do a research together and we would actually publish it in a scholarly journal. And the thing is that, one, right, you publish something, two, it helps you when you're applying to, right, you're applying to the universities, because, right, the universities, a lot of the time, what they're looking for is a well-rounded person, right? Grades are great, right? SAT, yes, but what do you do outside? And then in your story, don't be afraid to tell your story of what you do to help your family out, to help your friends out. What do you do outside volunteering in the community? Because that tells the people in admission that you are able to multitask and you're able to focus on a number of things which can help you get past and be successful at the university level. So
awesome. All right, next question is, when exploring the different career paths, were there any decisions that made you feel a sense of regret?
Actually, that's a good question because I was going to do that, but I didn't want to include it in the first part. So for me, because of the nature where I'm at, because I went from mental health, right, from psychology to mental health to education, and so now, right, looking hindsight, I think that for me, and again, it's just talking for me, I would have done my bachelor's in business first, and then I would have done my master's in counseling, and then I would have done a doctorate in psychology. And the reason for it is because a lot of the times when I'm presenting to nonprofit organizations about mental health, a lot of the time is not really about mental health because they are in mental health for most of the part, but it's more about, it's more about the business aspect of being a counselor or a business aspect of running a nonprofit organization. And so I think now I'm catching up with my doctorate, right, in organizational management, but I wish I would have done that in the beginning because there were a lot of questions that I couldn't answer unless I did the research because I didn't have that business background at that time.
I got you. Interesting. All right. The final question in the chat is, how did you graduate valedictorian when you were having to take care of your little brother and doing so much at home while going to high school?
That's a $1 million question. I spend long nights. I actually had to learn how to put everything in a calendar because from the time that my brother got out of school to the time that my parents got home around 6 or 7, right? That wasn't homework time. It was time to spend with my brother. And imagine, right? It's funny because people ask me, when did you start picking up your brother? We lived in San Francisco for about 2 years when we first got here. I was about 15 years old, and so my brother was going to preschool. So I went to James Denman Middle School. So what I did is I took the bus, and I took the bus to on his preschool. And and again, right, this is like 1986, 87, 88. And so me as a 15-year-old could go in and sign out my brother at a preschool, right? Right now, I mean, I was running a childcare facility for a long time. Those regulations were, I mean, you couldn't do that anymore, right? You needed to be an adult to sign somebody out. And so I learned I learned how to ride the bus by myself. I learned how to, take care of my brother. But the thing is, when I got to high school, I knew that I wanted to get to where I wanted to get. And at that time it was engineering, remember? And so I would stay up late. I would get up early. I mean, here, I'll give you a quick story because most of you, I don't know if you know Richmond, right? And how it is. I actually asked my dad if I can get my license early. So in order for me to do that, I needed to go to an early driver's ed class in Richmond High School. So I had to get up in the morning and had to walk all the way to Richmond High. It was about maybe 10, 12 blocks. It wasn't too bad. Well, one of these times, I actually was walking by a park, and there was a parked car, and two guys were in the car, and they rolled down they rolled down the passenger side mirror, and they said, "Run." And I said, "Why?" He's like, "Because if you don't run, we're going to kill you." So I took off like I had no tomorrow. I mean, I literally ran the streets. I went through a lot of different alleys. I mean, I tried my best to get away from them. I got so tired that I was actually kind of huffing and puffing, and I was walking because I said, forget this, I don't know what's going to happen. They would drive right next to me, just teasing me, and said, "Are you ready? Because we're going to let you rest, and then we're going to chase you." So I went all the way to the school. Luckily, some of my friends were there from the football team, and I told them what was going on, and they said, "Just sit here. We'll sit with you." And so those guys sat next to me, and my friend sat on the other side. And so nothing happened, right? The next day, one of my friends said that the same guys were still waiting for me there, but I said, forget it. I'm just going to get my license at 18. This is not worth my life. So those are some of the things that I've been through that has made me realize that, I got to take every chance that I can, but I also have to be smart, right? You got to be smart. You can't just take every chance. You have to look at it from all different perspectives. So, but yeah, scheduling is what helped me get to where I wanted to get in high school.
Awesome. All right, a few more questions popped up. So the next one is, if you could go back and give advice to your 18-year-old self, what would you say?
Okay. Well, here, and here's another story that I wasn't planning on telling today, but I think this is important, right? Coming from El Salvador from war, my parents brought me here because they didn't want the army to kidnap me or take me because they had kids in the army, right? In the Civil War. So when I got here and I was right around 18 years old, I actually started applying to different universities. One that I didn't apply, but I was nominated. I didn't know this until later. I was nominated. I actually got a letter from the Naval Academy that they would that I can go to Annapolis. I would have a free ride. I would do whatever major in engineering that I wanted. And when I finished my major, I was actually going to come out as an officer in the Navy. Oh, the arguments we had in the family. I mean, my mom and dad said, "What the heck are you thinking? We brought you from El Salvador running away from the army. Now you're going to go into the army." And I said, "This is not the army. This is the Navy, Dad." And he's like, and again, right, I don't want to use explicit language, but he's like, blankety, blank, you're not going anywhere. So I declined a free ride and being an officer, getting whatever major in engineering I wanted from the Naval Academy. To this day, I would send myself back and say, hey, educate your parents a little bit more and maybe show them the opportunities that I would have had if I would have done that, at least, right? I still would have thought about not doing it because I already got accepted to other universities, but that's one of the things that I realized that I think one of the Congress people at that time actually nominated me, and that's how I got the Naval Academy opportunity. So
very cool. And maybe that'll answer the next question. But the next one is, what is your proudest accomplishment?
My proudest?
Yep, your proudest accomplishment.
Setting aside all the degrees that I've earned and everything, I think my proudest accomplishment has been seeing my kids grow and learn how to be the people that they want to be. It's difficult to do that, and I've been teaching them to be open-minded. I've been teaching them to always know where they come from, right? I've been teaching them to listen to, and again, I said this at the beginning, right? Listen to your teachers because they're guiding you along the way. Each teacher is giving you a piece of information that when you put together, it's going to get you to where you want to go. I didn't learn that until I was in my master's degree. And so I'm telling you this so that way you don't wait until then if that's the road that you want to go, right? And I'm not saying that not going to school or working hard is not something that I wouldn't do. I mean, I still do my own oil changes. I taught my son how to change brakes on our cars. That's what we do together. I mean, and so, but at the same time, I'm proud that they're doing what they're doing. So my daughter is, like I said, in Santa Cruz doing psychology. My son is a junior right now, and he actually swims. He's in the swim team, and he actually plays water polo. Imagine, right? Hispanic playing water polo. I told him, I said, "What the heck are you doing water polo?" He's like, "I love it, Dad, because I'm in the water," because he's a fish, right? But traditionally, I would have pushed him, right? If I was traditional, I would have pushed him, no, you're going to play football or you're going to play soccer. You're going to do this. Because for me, I played football. I was in the wrestling team. I was in the soccer team. I did everything, right, that I wanted to do. But I want them to do what they want to do. And that's the proudest thing for me. It's creating people that will think critically on their own. Take advice, right, from the people around you, but eventually you will make the decision of what you want to be.
Awesome. All right. Next question is, how were you able to stay organized and manage your time considering the situation?
Is that I don't know at which point in time, but I mean, I can tell you that there's a lot of different ways. I've learned how to organize myself at every single step. Like I said, I learned calendaring when I was in high school. When I was in at UC Davis, because it's a quarter system. You have to understand, right? It's not, you don't have a whole semester to turn things in. It's shrunk. And for me, right, coming from a high school and straight into a quarter system, I struggled. So you need to prepare yourself. If you're applying to a UC, right, you need to prepare yourself, because you'll go from, again, right, from 50 miles an hour, you'll go to an 80 miles per hour. And again, the support, you're going to have to find it. And that's what I learned, right? I learned how to give myself time to find help at UC Davis. And it taught me who I can go to for different things. At Sac State, I actually learned how to time manage with two kids, actually one kid, because literally my first day of my master's program was the day after my daughter was born. So I literally came in 30 minutes late to my first class. And my excuse was, I just came straight from the hospital, see my wristband. My daughter was just born and I'm starting my master's degree. And so, time management for that, it was crucial. And then right now, with my current being a director of academic affairs, being part of the chambers, and at the same time, right, doing my doctorate, it's making sure that the people around me know that I'm not gone, right? I have to check in with people, and I have to let them know I'm still here. I'm a text away, right? I'm a phone call away. I can go and help you. Literally for the past quarter, I've been helping my daughter with stats, because she's taking a stats class. I took a stats class when I was early in my doctorate program. And so, thank goodness that I learned how to do that, because I'm able to sit with her for sometimes the last time, I think it was last week, we sat there for an hour going through scenarios. And the thing that I appreciated is that, she was listening to what her faculty was saying, right? What her professor was saying. And then I was just making sure that she was looking at it from every different perspective. So there's been different ways of scheduling and different ways of handling life at different aspects of my life.
Great. All right. Final question is, what advice would you give to kids that are feeling discouraged and like they're falling behind because of COVID?
It's interesting. COVID has done a lot of things, has for a lot of people. Businesses are closing. There's people that are not employed. And so my recommendation, right, is, and the first thing that I would recommend for you to do is be comfortable in the online environment, like the Zoom and whatever that system that you're using. Some people use Zoom, some people use
Microsoft Teams.
Yes, Microsoft Teams. So it depends on what it is. Try it, practice it. Being comfortable with a medium that you're using to get your classes will make your classes easier. And that's what I tell students at the university. It's hard when you don't know how to mute or how to chat, how to do that. And I know that you guys are very tech savvy. I get it, right? You live in a tech savvy era, but be comfortable. You're not going to break Zoom. Practice, right? You're not going to be breaking it, or whatever platform you're using. So get good at that, because the trend that we're seeing in education is that there's gonna be a hybrid model that people are gonna follow, where you can actually go to class, but if you want to, you're actually gonna be in Zoom or in Blackboard or in other platform, even at the community college. And so, and the reason why this is happening is that we'll be able to reach more people that are not gonna be able to go right to the actual classroom, and are not going to be able to. So for example, for university, what we're thinking at the University of Phoenix is that if we start a group, right, we call them groups, a class, in Sacramento, we'll be able to have people from Modesto, from Stockton, all the way to Placerville. I mean, we'll be able to have people from there that, you know, they may be able to come to our classes maybe once during their class, but the rest they'll do it virtually. And so don't get discouraged. I mean, I sometimes get frustrated because, you know, even the bandwidth here sometimes, I mean, let's be honest, it sucks here at the house because we're all using it. Imagine, right? As I'm presenting, my son is in his class, my daughter's in her class, and my wife, who works for one of the schools here in Davis, she's interacting with the students virtually, not in a class, but helping them with attendance. And so, I mean, it's kind of like when you have those stretchy pants, right? And that string has gone away because you know, and it's just being held just by your body, and you're like hoping that it's not going to fall because, you know, it's going to be embarrassing. It's like that. But, you know, don't lose hope. You know, we're moving in the right direction with COVID, especially with the vaccinations and everything. But be comfortable in the virtual environment. It's not going to go away, because some of the universities are thinking about doing that as well as a permanent staple for them. And so, but again, another thing that I can tell you is that utilize the resources. Like, for example, for math or for any subject, Khan Academy, right? It's a great resource. KHAN, Khan Academy. So that's a great resource. You know, there's actually programs in different places where you can actually get tutors for free sometimes. Go to your teachers, ask questions, make sure that you get everything that you need, right? Because that was one of my problems in high school, is that I thought I knew everything. And so I didn't realize that I could ask questions of my teachers. And so I said, oh yeah, I'll just read the book, or I'll just go through it and figure it out. But a lot of the times you just have to ask the right questions from the right person in order for you to get done. So don't get discouraged. I mean, I feel you, because my job, sometimes I have to shut everything down because virtually it doesn't work, and I'm in a meeting and it shuts down and it shuts off, and so we're behind now. But you know, it is what it is, and we'll get through it. You'll get through it. So, and again, right, one thing, and I know that it's 10:54. My philosophy about you going to school is go to school where you are going to be comfortable, go to school where it's going to meet your educational needs, go to school where they're going to give you the opportunities for you to learn what you want to learn. And at the same time, they'll give you opportunities for you to feel balanced, to be able to say, this school helps me out, not only with my school, but with my home life, but with my social life. Because remember, right, there is free community college, right? And so you have to understand, all schools lead to a degree, right? Does it mean that you're going to start at a UC or a state school? It may mean that you're going to start a community college and get your AA in something, and then sign that contract saying, if I get this GPA, I will go to this school. That's one thing that my daughter did. She signed a number of contracts so that way she can go to UC Santa Cruz. I mean, she went straight eventually, but again, she was looking at all the options. Don't give up, because there's always ways for you to get your education.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, well, so right now in the chat, this is for students. So I'm putting in a resource that I'm going to mention in a second. But yeah, we hope that everyone enjoyed Carlos's presentation. Yeah, thanks again for everything that you instilled for students. I know they, hopefully got a lot out of it. And so the link that I just put in the chat, it's for a resource called JA Access Your Future. And so if you'd like to kind of continue your career exploration and kind of learn more about the education required for different jobs, then you can check that link out, and it's, yeah, a great resource. And so because of everyone's participation today in this virtual program, you earned a JA student certificate, and I'll be sending those out soon after our call today, in the next, most likely early next week. And then next Friday, please join us for our next speaker. His name is Alex Rodrigo, and he's the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Golden One Center, which is the home of the Kings, right behind Carlos, which is the perfect preface for next week. It actually worked out. And so, yeah, keep an eye out in your email inbox. We'll just be sending out the link directly. But again, yeah, thank you for joining us today in empowering our youth to own their economic futures. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Carlos.
No problem.
Thank you, everybody.